Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey everybody, what's going on? We a few minutes late, we'll say, just a few. I had to do a little last minute troubleshooting. Man, have we got some things to talk about? Don't ask us to list it just yet, but we've got them. They're here, I swear.
There's things. And, another totally uneventful week. Nothing happened.
Was it?
Not a thing.
It was just since last week that, oh my God.
Yeah.
Too much. Time goes too fast, and yet things just happen all the time.
Just historic whatevers. I don't know.
Are you going to do a coconut dance for us?
No.
No. I don't
I'm
know
a brat.
what the coconut... Oh, okay. I got that reference too. I'm that keyed in at least.
We're hip.
Okay.
We're with it.
Well, we are hipping with it. It's not like we're going to have to be following the trends of an 82-year-old man.
No.
So,
it's after the hours of 6 p.m. and we still know what we're doing. So we're good.
we're not sundowning.
Not yet. We're not.
I love Brandon's like on the radio. He's like, the only rule I have for shows is, no political stuff. And since we've hit Helix Rock Radio, hey, by the way, how's it going, Helix Rock Radio? We start like every episode with some political nonsense.
Not really. I mean, like we're being vague about it. We're not picking a side. I mean, we'll totally pick a side though.
Yeah, we do.
I totally would pick a side, and I definitely wouldn't stand in the middle, like in the center, and not really benefit anyone or have an opinion on anything. My side is definitely not center, I'll say that much. Anyway. Hey, but first, how are you two doing?
Doing well. I'm doing so good.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Everything's fine.
You know what's fun, though? That got the most lively reaction from the "How are you two doing?" that I've gotten in a while. So,
oh yeah,
I think we should start every episode with nonsense, overly vague political talk.
All right.
Yeah, it's hard not to mention things. I mean, like 2 weeks in a row, very, very notable historic happenings.
I'm tired of being part of historic events.
Yeah. Let's quit it. Let's stop that. That's dumb.
Man.
I don't know how the revolutionaries did it. Like every week.
Just rewind
something
back.
new. Ooh.
Yeah.
How about we just rewind back to like 2000 and just do things a little different from that point on.
Man, I mean, times were simpler back then. Like we had boy bands and Justin Timberlake was maybe going to be a solo act, and what was it? We had the fusion rock rap thing, like it was a Shine Down was a thing for a minute.
Totally random thought. This is something that pops in my head fairly often. If you could go back into time, say 2000 or so, what stocks would you buy? Because there's stocks.
Oh,
like
Apple.
What? Apple for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't know how Marvel
Apple
stocks
still would have been
fared.
expensive, but it just continued, like it just got bigger and better.
Do you hold? I don't know stocks well enough to say whether you just hold it till now or you hold it till like a while after the iPhone hit and then sell and live off that forever.
Being from the future like we are, I would sell it right before Steve Jobs dies, because that's when Apple kind of fades into mediocrity a little bit. Like they didn't have any good ideas after him. So
I would have. How far back are we going? Just to the 2000s?
Yeah, maybe late 90s, 2000s. In my mind, when I play out this scenario, I have to be old enough to like understand what future Randy or my future consciousness, however it works, tells me to do.
I would have done Bitcoin when it first came out,
Oh,
and then got rid of it right away. I mean, not right away, but
pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
It skyrocketed and then just plummeted.
Yeah.
I remember
and
Steve. Sorry, go ahead.
also Nvidia.
Oh, right. Yeah. NVIDIA, real good. I remember Steve Geegan telling me about Bitcoin way back in the day, and I didn't have a computer that I would have been able to mine it, but I didn't understand. And I was like, okay, whatever, Steve. Because Steve, like, he'll once in a while fall down a
It's the thing of the future.
conspiracy-ish rabbit hole
yeah,
sometimes. Man, if he or I don't think he had access to a computer that he could have mined on either, but if we could have jumped on it back then, even if you just get one or two, man, that'd be so much money.
Yeah.
Also, Marvel, I don't know how Marvel what was Marvel publicly traded before Disney picked them up? But there was definitely a point where Marvel was like bankrupt. And if you could get on a Marvel before the acquisition, I feel like that would take you on a ride.
Oh, yeah.
Take you to the moon, as they say.
To the moon. Yeah, weren't we getting like Ben Affleck Daredevil movies in the 2000s?
Oh, yeah,
because,
early 2000s. That was like 2003
Nickelback
or something.
is on the soundtrack. So,
right.
like, you know when.
Yeah. Yeah, if Nickelback's on the soundtrack, buy stocks because it may look bad now, but Disney's going to buy them in the future.
Yeah.
That could probably apply to several movies and studios at this point.
Probably buying stocks in Netflix too, and then dropping them before they.
The message gets like confuzzled by the time it gets back to your past self. So every time you hear Nickelback, you're like, I don't know why, but I have to buy Disney stock. I don't understand it.
You Manchurian candidate yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna hear a lot of Nickelback, man. It's like, oh no, I heard it again. I don't have any money. I can't buy more stock. I need to be able to feed myself, or I'll never make it to the future.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you could just go back to the past with like, I don't know, some sleep headphones and put them on and like record some stuff just to subliminally, influence yourself all when you were younger. That's what I would do. Because I don't want to talk to myself. I probably would have freaked out, honestly. And probably not believe myself either. I'd have been like, you're like a cousin, aren't you?
You're a hallucination. I need to stop smoking that.
Oh, yeah, that's probably more likely, actually.
This is like a reverse in the future.
Yeah, you're right. In the past, yeah. I would do this.
It's like the hot tub time machine thing, where the one guy goes back in time and records the Black Eyed Peas.
I would really prefer to know that I'm going back in time first, because I don't have enough knowledge of stocks and just things to be that useful. I'd hope just an Apple stock or something would get me through.
Just one.
But if you had time to study, oh man, there's so many things especially not just jumping on points, but jumping off points. .com, until the bubble burst, the initial .com bubble, you jump out at the right time.
Don't buy a house.
The housing market, there's definitely a right and wrong time to jump into that.
Right.
Hey, thanks, Brandon.
Weren't you talking about... Sorry.
Go ahead. No.
Weren't you talking like yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, about going into the past and having AI with you? And you could just be like, here's the number one hit. Go.
we were messing around with Pseudo. I don't remember the name. No, it's Udio and something else. But one of the AI music.
So if you have
generator
Pseudo
things,
and Udio, then you have Studio.
You're right. But we were just messing around. You put in some prompts. It generates very convincing music. And it's fun in analyzing both how good it is, but also how bad it is at times, right?
Sure.
Like, that's the fun of AI, in my opinion. Is that
what they've been using to come up with, like, country songs and whatnot?
I think so. I heard something about that. Yeah. It's gotta be. Right?
Right.
It's pretty convincing, but I was like, because we were doing like a disco funk and synthwave disco funk, trying to. My favorite thing is to try to. No, Brandon says no. You keep holding Apple stock because it keeps splitting. Be foolish to sell jobs. Never let it split.
Okay.
That sounds like things I don't know. All
I know. Lesson from Brandon before I time travel.
all I know is that Steve Jobs was creative, and they got less creative. That's all.
I feel like depending when you
Brandon's
buy in,
right, though.
Maybe buy in early or at the right time. Sell a little bit at key points, but don't always keep some. Or who knows?
Sure.
Maybe just keep it in there and just. I think at a certain point, once you have a certain amount of wealth, you just don't have to spend money. Just be like,
right.
Oh no, just give me this thing, because rich people get stuff for free all the time, ironically. So
Yeah,
that's a good point.
It's kind of like
still
CEOs.
one of the top computer corporations in the world. So.
Oh,
right.
Speaking of, sorry, did you know that a whole bunch of billionaires recently lost a whole bunch of money because Tesla stock dropped, and it like the whole world economy kind of took a hit because of it.
Did they start jumping out windows?
No, it wasn't that bad, but
I mean, good.
Many
That'd be
millions
terrible.
and millions were lost.
What we were saying
also,
a second
I would
ago,
also go back in time and tell myself, yeah, I know you're really excited about this Occupy Wall Street thing, but it's just going to fizzle
it's
out.
not.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's not going to have any effect at all.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no kidding. That seemed. I think about that sometimes too. Actually, I get kind of upset about it. A little bummed.
All the potential of that, it seemed like it was going somewhere. Nope.
Because people gotta work to eat and live.
Oh yeah.
So what we were talking about with the AI music is, I mean, that stuff's hosted on a server, but you get a local copy somehow on a machine. You jump back to the 80s, and you could just print money with that thing. You just have it spit out a song, because it's trained on, of course, 80s music, but also everything since. So it's going to be doing some kind of groundbreaking things in the 80s. But the 80s, I feel like production was to a point, like with synths and stuff, that almost anything that it spits out at you would still seem like. You go to the 60s, it's going to spit some stuff out. People are going to be like, what is this?
You're going to be Marty McFly. We were like, whoa.
So you just become one of those producers, those ghost producers or whatever, like the guy that, nobody's heard of their name, but they wrote every top 10 hit for a decade or something.
And you pretend you're Swedish.
Yep, that's important.
They write everything.
That's essential. And you just have it spit out a song, and then you hand it to a producer and be like, reverse engineer this, figure it out, cover this song. And if they ask you questions, be like, you just cover this song. I wrote it. You are going to make $1 million now. Brandon says $1 million now. Hey, that works. Okay, buy it in the mid-90s before jobs returned. Was about $22 a share. The company was ready for bankruptcy. If you bought 1,000 shares worth, that'd be close to $1 million now.
Oh yeah.
Just $1 million now? Well, mid-90s.
Just $1 million. Randy's all bummed out. I'm a teacher, man. That sounds great.
But where am I?
Okay.
Where am I going to get $22,000 in the mid-90s?
Wow. That was my thing. Mid-90s Randy did not have access to $22,000.
Yeah, me either.
Mid-aughts, mid-2010s Randy, I don't think he has access to $22,000.
He's saying you just need $1,000 worth. I mean, granted, I didn't have $1,000 either.
Oh,
but
okay.
I would probably.
I was thinking 1,000 shares. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably get $100 a month.
Oh yeah, $1,000 worth. That's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's doable. I'm sorry. I was thinking $22 and then 1,000 shares. So, my bad.
I'd have way less CDs though. My CD collection would not be nearly as impressive and obsolete as it is.
Yeah.
mine's in the closet, and I feel like breaking it out once in a while. Then I'm like, look around. I'm like, why though? There's so much like junk in here.
So
Or not
many
junk,
Nickelback
but just
CDs.
furniture and stuff. Like I don't need another. I don't need 2 CD racks sitting out. Also,
Yeah, but you know what you should do? You should go through your freaking VHSs and get rid of some of them, man. Make some
never.
space in the house.
Sure, half of them the magnetism's probably worn off, and they're not worth it. But never.
We got
You're right.
Dazed and Confused. We got Liar Liar. I did a TikTok the other day and somebody was like, oh my God. Like what I was doing was like tearing up a box or something that some toy was in, you know, so outraged. But then there was somebody else in the comments that's like, wait a minute, you got Liar Liar on VHS? Like that's what they took. That's what they took from the video.
Oh, dude.
Yep.
We could make videos for days based on old VHSs laying around.
Right?
Yeah. Of course,
Man.
you know, they had $5 bins. You bought stuff that you didn't even, that you hated just because it was only $5.
You didn't
know?
even watch. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I got a few CDs like that.
Yeah.
I've even Marie Kondoed some of that, you know, like I've gone through and gotten rid of some things and I still have way too much physical media. But what if the internet doesn't work?
Well,
On a day.
Oh.
Like I push the idea like physical media, and I believe in it, like because you shouldn't rely fully on these companies. These companies have proven time and again you can't trust them. They're not going to be 100% reliable, and they're just going to get more and more expensive. That said, I still once in a while like be on Bandcamp or something. See like an indie band, be like, oh man, I should support them. I should buy their CD or something. And I'm
Right.
like, and I sell CDs. You should go to superscience.xyz and there's a link to
That's
CDs there. But then I look and I'm like, but I don't even have a disc. I don't even have a CD player in here anymore.
Oh, I do.
Like,
It's Bluetooth.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yeah, because all my stuff is Bluetooth. So it's like, well, I don't need like real speakers, but I do need Bluetooth.
Well, then I thought about, well, maybe cassettes, because that's more of a collectible thing. Like, I'm not realistically going to listen to a cassette all that often. But, like, on Bandcamp, you buy an album, like a cassette or CD from somebody, you get the digital download, too. You listen to that, but then you've got the collector piece. But then it comes into the thing of, like, but where am I going to put it?
Right.
You know?
right. That's where, like,
I
the vinyl, it's like, I
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
get the vinyl craze.
Yep.
But vinyl is so, like, it's big. It's flat, but it's big.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
And
super cool. Go
They
ahead.
get messed up kind of easy too.
Yeah, that too.
Right. Yeah, and vinyl's super cool, and man, for the like, that's the ultimate like music collector piece because of how big it is. A lot of people will put it on their walls like a poster, right? Like you
Yeah.
get the cover art, awesome. Cassettes like the exact opposite of that, and CDs, kind of a happy medium, except you don't store CDs in a way that you can like look at the cover. You're looking at spines.
Right.
But vinyl's so big, and it gets heavy. Like you got a sizable collection, all that wax, man, it adds up and like takes up space and gets heavy. So,
But you know what was so great when either like this, like there was singles or maybe several albums that all went together. You could like take them out of the thing and put them together, and they made like a picture or a map or something. That stuff was so cool.
Yeah. And you had all the lyrics to everything too.
Yeah.
Man, liner
hey,
notes were cool.
viewer
Being
from
young
Twitch.
is stupid.
Viewer from Twitch says those same companies will make sure the optical drives are no longer made to render your physical media, useless, or it's going to be so expensive to replace. You'll go all digital. Even at this point, cassettes have hit the like niche trend, hipster kind of market at this point. Like it was vinyl's never not going to go away, but it was vinyl hardcore for a long time. It's hit cassette now. Is it going to hit CD? I don't know, but it's going to be niche market, which means it's going to be an expensive habit to get into. It's because it's going to be a collector's market at that point.
Mhm.
And a lot of the big companies are now like, so I think Sony announced they're not going to be producing like writable optical discs anymore, like CDRs and DVD-Rs and stuff like that. Like you're not even going to be able to buy blank discs to write stuff to. So I imagine that's going to impact the market a bit. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I don't mind digital as long as they let you download it and have it yourself. If I can store it myself, then I'm fine. I don't like the things where you buy something and they have it somewhere, and then when they get sold or just change their mind or whatever, then it's gone. If I buy it, I want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, the company gets sold, goes under, licensing issue. That's very common. I looked at I was very interested in this topic a while ago. Not that I'm uninterested in it now, but yeah, it's very common where people will buy series or shows on a streaming service or like a digital store, like the PlayStation Store. I think might have been the one that ran afoul of people recently. Where you buy it, right? You get to keep it until Sony or whatever, or maybe Microsoft, the Xbox, whatever digital store it is, decides they don't want to pay the license to the original person. It just disappears then. So you don't own it. Even if you buy a digital copy, you don't own it. Bandcamp, the plus side is you can download the files, in terms of music anyway. You download the files, you can keep them. Of course, there's no like DRM or anything, but you actually have to download it. Because I've also seen people get upset that they bought things on Bandcamp and then for whatever reason Bandcamp took that album down, or the artist did. That's pretty rare, but it does happen. Especially if there's like a sample issue or something. Like Bandcamp will take albums down and then you can't get it again. And people are upset. Well, it should be there forever. It's like, yeah, but you could have downloaded it. If you downloaded it, you wouldn't have had this problem. So you got to at least make sure you download it while you know it's there.
And you don't want to get dogma'd. You don't want to get Harvey Weinsteined, like the only way I can watch Dogma.
Well, for many reasons on that one.
For a lot of reasons, yeah. But I mean, like, the only reason I can watch Dogma is that we have physical media.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn of the Dead.
It was even a April Fool's joke this year from Kevin Smith. He was like, coming to something, the streaming service. I was like, no, that's never happening.
Yeah, you can't get Dogma anywhere. You can't watch it anywhere.
Nope.
Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead was like that for a long time too, because some guy bought the rights and like the exclusive rights to it and was not licensing it out. Apparently he was thinking he could get way more to license it out than he could. And so he was PO'd about it, and it was just like, no, I'm just not going to license this out then. So that's why for a long time there were no new physical. I mean, Donna, at least that was recent enough. You could get that on DVD and I think Blu-ray already. But there were no new copies of it released. It wasn't streaming anywhere for a long time. And they couldn't like re-release it. Although they have reran it through theaters. So either somebody bought it or somebody came to an agreement. So, but yeah, that was the case with the original Dawn of the Dead for a long time too.
Why can't they just be like, the movie that was formerly known as The Dawn of the Dead? You know what I mean? Like,
well, talk about a franchise with like weird rights issues all throughout. The whole reason, like it's not technically an official sequel, but it totally is an official sequel to Night of the Living Dead, just because of weird complications. But at the same time, that went into public domain. I don't know, weird.
Yeah.
Anyway. But then you could always have Taylor's version of Dawn of the Dead. You just
okay.
re-record it. You just re-record the whole movie,
I mean, Zack Snyder already did that. So
right.
Dawn of the Dead is on Laserdisc on eBay for about $100. Interesting. I mean, I've got that on DVD. I might have that on Blu-ray. So like that, the issues with the licensing of that was after it had already hit some of the more modern formats. But yeah, there were a good several years where
Laserdisc
definitely impacted streaming.
Yeah,
Laserdisc, man.
Media, man. Woo.
Laserdiscs are crazy. I know it comes up once in a great while, but my dad had a Laserdisc player, and they're record-size CDs or DVDs, double-sided, so it's shining on both sides, and like pretty thick. Though, talk about a heavy collection, man.
Right.
That adds up. That weight adds up quick.
If
There are
zombies came,
several-
that's what you want to have to throw at them, huh?
Yeah, that's right. You kill
Yeah.
people with your Dawn of the Dead collection.
Laserdisc was interesting. Okay, speaking of licensing and rights, I don't know if this is interesting to anybody, but The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, when it hit, my parents had that movie on like every format they owned. They never owned Betamax, but every format. New format come out, you buy The Thing, whatever else. One of the songs, they had to change out one of the songs, I think when it hit DVD, maybe even VHS, but I'm not sure about that. DVD, because in the originally it was like Very Superstitious by
Stevie Wonder.
yeah. And they had licensing issues going to a new format, because around the time of DVDs they started like record labels and stuff started, and publishers started renegotiating contracts. It's like, this is a whole new format, we need a new licensing deal. And so there were situations like that where they're like, okay, well, we're not going to pay this new price, so they'd swap it out. And I think the Laserdisc was the original, but then once it hit DVD, it was a different song. And not a bad song, but it's like, that's not the right song. Every time I'd watch it, I'd be like, that's not right. That's not proper. So anyway, weird.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting
Niche.
because that song's in that awful I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Wonder if that's
Well, they probably, I'm sure they paid something like The Thing, which became a hit on video, but did not do an older movie. I feel like a studio is probably going to be less willing to be like, okay, we'll shell out what you want, versus, some Will Smith blockbuster crap movie.
Yeah.
And that's been my review of I Am Legend.
Didn't Happy Birthday
2000.
become public domain recently or something like that? Or am I crazy?
No, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And the Happy Birthday song finally
Yeah.
fell into public
Because I know
domain.
that wasn't in movies or
I
anything
think.
because of stuff like that. Yeah.
like where they
But
sing
now we can
Happy
say-
Birthday.
Yeah, somebody owned it, and so it cost too much for like no movies ever had it in there usually. But
Yeah,
now
if
they
you watch
can.
Most movies, if there's like a birthday scene, if you notice, they don't. Now it's different, but they don't sing the actual Happy Birthday song. And if they do, that meant they paid to license it or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, they always-
not. Go
They
ahead.
always do some weird like happy birthday something, like something that's not happy birthday.
Right.
I don't know how you can license something like that though. That's stupid.
Yeah. Well, it is weird how widespread that song is, and while like it was recent enough that the writer or the rights owner was like, yeah, no, you got to pay for that.
Yeah.
1% of Wall Street has the rights to that song. Occupy it.
Okay, I was wondering where that was going.
I just keep bringing it back. Come on, guys. Occupy Wall Street again. For real this time.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. You guys occupy yourselves for just a second.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. What is he doing? This is a terrible idea.
I don't
This
know. I don't
This is
know.
a lack of a plan.
You guys will do fine. Just
Oh,
don't talk about whatever stuff you talk about when I'm not here.
Oh, wow.
No, or
See?
you know what?
We-
Do.
We joked that it would be Garfield minus Garfield, and here it is.
You're right. All right, no, I'll be right back.
See, we've already got dead air.
Yep,
I
sorry.
mean, like we're half an hour into this podcast, and we haven't even talked about what we've been watching or consuming or whatever. So I suppose
Right.
we should just get into that, right? Did you
Mhm.
guys consume anything that Randy won't talk at length about?
Well, yeah, but anything that I have seen, he's seen. So, but he's got other stuff to talk about that I didn't watch, so I can talk about some stuff.
Okay.
We watched Upgrade. Is the only one I can recall at the moment, which is old. I don't remember how old, but it's years old. But it was really interesting, and spoilers or whatever. Hopefully, you don't want to watch it. Uh, this guy, well, in the beginning, he's married and he works on cars, and he drops them off to some rich guy, and then later that day or the night or whatever, they're in a self. This is in the future too. They're in a self-driving car, and it goes crazy, and they get in an accident, and then some bad guys come and pull him out, and he ends up paralyzed, and his wife dies. Uh, and then the rich guy calls him back up and asks him if he wants to be a test subject and get an implant in his spinal cord. So he does.
Okay.
So that he's not paralyzed anymore.
Right.
But then he goes to kind of try to figure out who his wife's killer is, and it turns out that he can just let the thing take over, and it can do kung fu and stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, it's very interesting, and it had a surprise ending to me, and I thought it was pretty good.
Upgrade or upgraded?
I think it's just Upgrade, but I could be wrong.
Upgrade. Okay. It's interesting. That sounds like RoboCop meets $1 Million Man, or almost.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it has some scenes that are kind of like, what is that, Hardcore Henry or something like that? You know, where it's like you're attached to a camera that's following them as they move around, and that's
First person point of view, or GoPro style.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
Huh. All right.
So, yeah.
As far as stuff that I've watched, basically, I mentioned that I started Cobra Kai season 6, part 1 last time, and I finished it, and yeah, it continues to be ridiculous and awesome.
Does it?
Cuckoo?
Does it maintain the same quality? I
super-
guess because ridiculous and awesome seems like consistent.
Yeah, like there's definitely stuff that I love about it, and they continue that trend. And then there's also stuff where like, come on, and yet you forgive it because it's a karate soap opera. So there you go.
Karate soap opera. That's a good way to describe it.
I like that. I like that Ralph Macchio is finally aging.
Yeah, he is. I mean, especially since like the writer's strike hit, and it's just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Even in the show, he's like, yeah, I can't do this forever. I'm gonna have to hang it up at some point.
I mean, I've seen some of his kicks in the earlier seasons. I mean, he's been older for a while.
Right.
I come back in here and sat down, and we joked about this. I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago or something. But I sat down and was like, bah, just let out a belch, and then I realized, oh yeah, no, my mic's still hot on the radio, so they could hear everything on Helix Rock Radio.
Oh, you didn't mute it again?
Yeah.
So we can't.
Okay.
We're not even learning.
Nope. Well, I mean, come on.
Helix Rock Radio, you guys get a special version of Grawlix Nights
you
that
guys
no one
get
else
extra.
gets.
A little extra, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're streaming to radio and like 3 video platforms. There's a couple extra steps that I'm not totally don't have down pat yet. So,
And radio people are, they've lived a long time with radio. I'm sure they've heard worse.
They've lived a long
we're
time.
used to things like
if you're still
coughing.
listening to radio, you're old.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're still listening to radio, you should probably schedule that colonoscopy
Yeah.
time.
By the way, if you want to listen to us on the radio, we're streaming there now. Thursdays, every Thursday night, about 8:30 ish Central Time, 9:30 ish Eastern. Okay, so we're into what we watched.
Yes.
I watched a few things. I don't have to go through them all.
I talked about Upgrade.
Oh, did you? Yeah,
Yes.
Upgrade was good. Upgrade was
Yeah.
good. That okay. You probably said all the things I would say anyway. So.
Yep. So you talk about the ones that I haven't seen.
Okay. I rewatched It Follows. I've talked about that a lot. And the only reason I rewatched it is because last week on Edge of the Abyss on Helix Rock Radio, in which I play metal music, there was a song called It Follows. So I was like, I'm definitely going to watch this movie now again. I got on a little bit of a Godzilla binge. And by Godzilla binge, I mean starting way back at the beginning and not hitting every offshoot. Yep. The original 1954 Godzilla, or Gojira, which the proper actual Japanese version, which apparently I have never seen. I had seen the Americanized one where they, cut in a white guy who happens to be observing all the same scenes that happened in Godzilla, I'd seen that when I was a kid, and I don't think I'd ever seen, apparently the proper uncut Japanese version wasn't even available internationally till like 2000, early 2000s.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so first time watching that, 5 stars. It's excellent, fantastic. 1954. It made me appreciate Godzilla Minus One more, because although I think Godzilla Minus One is a little bit more direct with some of the drama, I guess. Like, there's a little bit more personal drama, but Godzilla Minus One really channels the original Godzilla so well in a lot of ways. And of course, there's lots of references that I retroactively caught on this viewing of Godzilla. But the city attack scene, like the main city attack scene in Godzilla, is so good. Even though it's 1954, it goes on for so long, which is kind of incredible. It's a fair mix of like legitimately kind of terrifying, like if you could put yourself in the situation. And the original Godzilla, I think, really benefits from being a rather serious movie, especially considering it came out like less than 10 years after Japan had got bombed. So, as soon as I watched a video about it not long ago, and America occupied Japan for like 7 years after that. And, Japan couldn't really talk trash about us or the bombing or anything like that. And as soon as America got out, they're like, Godzilla, we need to talk about some stuff. We need to work some issues out.
We got some things to say.
So it's a good mix of like serious, heavy, legitimately scary, and then suddenly there's a miniature of a fire truck with a little doll on the side driving down the road. So charming. It's so good.
I love that, like, we have the elephant in the room. They're like, no, we got a giant big monster that will kill everything in the room.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I think it, more so than some of the follow-ups, the effects hold up. I mean, it's a guy in a suit and it's obviously miniatures, but I think it holds up so well because a lot of that in the first Godzilla is night scenes. And it's dark, and that kind of helps mask some of the less convincing elements. I followed that up immediately with Godzilla Raids Again, the second Godzilla movie, released like less than a year after. That movie sucks. F that movie. It is such a slog. It's so boring. They had no story. They had no good ideas. They were just like, Godzilla, another gun. Let's make money.
Mm-hmm.
Then I watched Rodan. Rodan was good. I found a list, like a very comprehensive list of like, here's Godzilla movies in chronological, not in chronological, in order by release, including like the weird ones, like the Mysterians and stuff like that. The ones that tangentially later.
Monster from Planet X and whatever that one is called, with
yes,
Ghidorah and or Ghidorah, however you pronounce it, and he does his crazy like victory dance where he does like it does like a Mario jump.
I honestly didn't get that. I watched a bunch of movies and didn't get that far into it because especially that first era, there are a lot of offshoots. because after Godzilla raids again, they waited quite a while. King Kong vs. Godzilla was only the third Godzilla movie. That was the third Godzilla movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought that would have been later in the franchise.
Right.
But, okay, so I'm not going to go over each one, but I'll mention Rodan. I watched Rodan. Pretty good. Pretty good. Definitely improved over Godzilla Raids Again, but not great. I give that one like 3 stars. That was 1956. I skipped over 2 because that were very hard to find and looked very dull. I can't remember what they are. One was The Mysterians or something like that, which was about old men space aliens that come down and want our women. One of those kind of movies. But apparently that comes into play in a future Godzilla maybe. So Mothra. 4 stars. Mothra was amazing. The 1961 Mothra. What's that?
Yeah, you got to watch Mothra.
Yeah, it was so good, and I had never seen it. Partially, it's good. It's good production, but also like it's such a refreshing change after 3 movies of like pretty stale monster attacking cities and officials in business suits sitting around in offices.
Right.
This, I mean, you might get quite a bit of blackface. In fact, like the next like 3 or 4 I watched after this were like there's a lot of blackface going on because there's tribes. They go to an island, you know.
Oh yeah.
Mothra comes from an island. So does King Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to deal with that, but now we're into the fun it feels 50s, but like early 60s Technicolor, so it's like popping and good production, weird story. At times it felt like somebody just wanted to make a monster movie and they were taking acid, and this is what happened.
Yeah.
But the 2 little women that show up every time Mothra is around,
Right.
I finally understand their origin because they're such a weird thing. I've seen them in other movies, and it's always like, what is this? What are these little fairy women? I mean, you don't really get an explanation of why they are, but you know, at least I know where they're from now. King Kong vs. Godzilla. I give this one 3 stars as well. It's not as strong as Mothra, but it's fun. It's
just dumb and
goofy.
Kind of like the modern.
It's such a crap looking King Kong suit. Like it looks so bad. But the fights are fun. It's definitely better. Like Godzilla Raids Again, there was monster fights, but it was so like dull. These are at least more fun, and I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Godzilla, especially at this point, was always the threat,
right?
And King Kong is kind of like the one you're rooting for, even though they both just mess things up kind of indiscriminately.
And they give him like crazy electric powers or whatever. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Electricity is like cocaine for King Kong.
Yeah, they got to beef him up because Godzilla's got the fire breath, and Kong didn't like that until Kong like was chewing on some 1 million watt wires or something, and they're like, oh, he could take electricity, and after that, he just has electricity powers and is immune to the fire. So, okay.
Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to there was a question about, so was Godzilla supposed to be anti-American propaganda? But it wasn't really that. I think it was just there were them talking about what the bombs were like. Like Godzilla was supposed to represent the bombs or something, and like it being so devastating and destructive or something. I'm not sure.
It's like a disaster movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It really is more about, especially Japan had a lot of, and you know, partially, probably mostly at the fault of America. They're the ones that were doing it for a long time. We're testing the bombs off the seas and on small islands and stuff over there during that like period after World War II when the U.S. was like, yeah, we're going to occupy you for a while and do whatever we want. But these movies, and I think Japan in general, are always careful to not point a finger directly. Like, it's never like the U.S. tested on us. It's like, we need to stop the H-bomb tests. We need to stop these testing, or Godzilla is, you know, an example of what happens when you carelessly test whatever. They never point the finger directly at America. And even like Mothra specifically, there's a character who's from, I don't know how it would be pronounced, but the country, the made up country he's from is a combination of Russia and America is the word. And Mothra flies over to this country towards the end to New Kirk City. And it's totally like New York City. So even when they do, like, in this case, like America or Russia is involved, they're very careful to be like, it's not them. This is New Kirk City. They're Ruslikins or whatever it is, you know. So
Ruslikins.
It doesn't necessarily come across that way. It's not. It definitely doesn't come across like anti-America propaganda. I mean, it's more environmental and anti-bomb, of course, as you would expect. I mean,
does the
go ahead.
Does the original have any of the? Because I know in the Godzilla -1, there was a theme about how the country kept everything kept everything secret, like you couldn't talk about anything, or was that because of America? Do you know?
Well, in Godzilla -1, I don't know. That movie even did it interesting to not involve America or Russia because most of that takes place at the period where, like, kind of Cold War-ish, or leading into it, where there's tensions, and so they're like, well, we can't bother America or Russia with this. They're tense with each other, whatever. I don't know.
But also, they weren't allowed to have like they were demilitarized or whatever as a result of the treaties or whatever, and so like the test plane that they use at the end, like that was a secret, you know, like, and it wasn't quite done, but it was stored away secretly and whatnot, and they weren't technically.
And it's interesting because in the older movies, like the National Guard's there, tanks show up and planes and stuff, but if anything, it's their National Guard, but really we're rarely ever following military people. We're following like
scientists and stuff.
Scientists, but also like people who work in a cannery are our main characters and are able to run around and be involved in every major operation of this. It's like, why? And people
that's
who
weird.
Hasn't Godzilla been gender identified as a she? I don't know. Maybe.
Probably in a movie.
I will tell you in a few weeks, maybe, once I've gotten through more of the franchise. I could probably tell you. I don't recall them giving it Godzilla a specific gender. Mothra's definitely a she.
Right.
Yeah.
If it were Spanish, it would be a she. But I don't know with Japanese.
Because it ends with la?
Yeah.
Would it be Godzilla otherwise?
It'd be Godzilla.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But no, just A, usually A, and, you know, yeah.
What was Atragon? Man, I watched Atragon. I don't even remember what this thing is. Atragon's a weird one. Okay, Atragon's like a dragon, like a traditional, like, serpent-looking dragon.
Does he rhyme?
No, he doesn't. No, that's where, thank you. I was like, I know that name. How do I know that name? It's one of my favorite DC rando characters. I should have remembered. He's barely in it. That creature's barely in it. Shows up for a little bit at the end. Gets all jacked up because the main thing about this movie is some little sect like army base is pretty much still in the war, and even though they know like the war's over, they're like, no, Japan. Interesting. You know what? That's interesting because this one gets into the main characters are like trying to convince this kind of rogue army base and commander, because they're like, we need the secret sub you've been working on to save the world, and he's like, no, Japan first. I only work for Japan. They're like, the war is over. And he's like disgusted by this, right? Because it's like, oh, they caved or whatever. It's interesting. It does hit on those themes, but the guy who's like committed to Japan first is played as kind of the villain until he comes around. So most of these movies are very careful not to take that stance. And I don't know if that's genuine or calculated.
I did a quick search on it, and it says that Godzilla's gender has varied across the different films. The original Godzilla used like gender neutral pronouns, referring to it as it. However, Godzilla co-creator has suggested that the original 1954 version could have been female. All the English dub versions described him as male. The 1989 Godzilla was male. The new legendary Godzilla is referred to as male. And even in that 1980 or 1998 film, even though it lays eggs, it lays eggs via parthenogenesis.
Yeah, it's like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Yep.
So most of the time it's male, but the original could have been female.
And to wrap up my Godzilla watching, I watched Mothra vs. Godzilla from 1964. My second favorite of the whole bunch so far. I give this one 3.5. I guess that would make it my third favorite. Mothra is my second favorite.
I want to get gross real quick. You can't look between its legs. You'd have to stick your finger in its cloaca. Okay.
That is gross. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I had a thought. No, I'm just gonna train wreck that thought. Oh, mechas. You didn't watch anything with Mecha Godzilla or
not yet?
Mechanic Kong? No. Okay.
Nope.
Because I drew some of those this weekend. Yet. So, yeah. All right.
Really?
I watched. Yeah. I watched the newest of the new, the Godzilla X Kong New Empire or whatever. And the first thing that I note is that you really should watch the Apple TV series Monarch, which I have not seen, because they talk about Monarch throughout this thing. And I've heard good things about the show, but I haven't, haven't endeavored to track it down yet. So
is Monarch like a cousin of Mothra?
Well, I don't know. Monarch is this like company that studies the kaiju.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was
they were established in the.
Did I talk about the Will Wheaton book, or not Will Wheaton, but John Scalzi book that I listened to last week? Kaiju Preservation Society.
I
No,
don't think so.
No, I would have remembered.
It was
that.
fun. It was basically the book that Scalzi wrote during the pandemic because he just needed something dumb and fun to write. And they basically go to an alternate Earth where kaiju exist, and the environment sustains them, and it's when bombs go off on our Earth that they travel through. So the original Godzilla, which looked nothing like Godzilla, actually happened, and that's where that idea came from.
Okay, that's fun.
This is a fun book.
Narrated by Will Wheaton?
Narrated by Will Wheaton, yes.
Okay. Cool.
Fantastic.
I was gonna come and visit you at your thing, but it cost too much, and I was gonna bring my nieces and nephews, but I'm like, they're not even gonna sit down and play right. They're gonna get bored or whatever, and I'm not paying like that much for them to go to not really do anything.
That's fair.
How much was it to get in?
I don't
It's
know.
like 30,
it was
30 something.
for
I think.
a day. Oh, man. Yeah.
I don't remember. I'd have to look, but I think so.
You probably would have only.
It
went
explains
one day,
people when they were there, they were serious about their games. Like the only times that they came and saw me was when they were like in between games and had time to kill.
Well, yeah, and you had to schedule play, for most of it, I believe.
There's like, I don't know, there's like 6 open play tables, but like oftentimes those were just like, those were like vendors who weren't getting any sales, had their kids there too, and they were just like, let's play a game. We're right here by our table. We can watch your table and play this game.
Yeah.
So.
So Jesse, how did you Godzilla Is it Godzilla X Kong?
Godzilla X Kong. It was interesting, but it, like was it versus Kong? That one was very like started down this rabbit hole of getting kind of cartoony. Like it was fun, but it was like everything's so CGI that it starts to look like a cartoon. That's what this was, even more so, because now we've like a robot arm on Kong, and now we've got other kaiju, because you got to have a threat that's big enough to pull Godzilla down into Hollow Earth. And like, not only do we have Hollow Earth, which we saw in Godzilla versus Kong, now we've got subterranean realm, which is beyond Hollow Earth, and we pull in the
Hollower Earth.
More Hollow Earth. I was like, so if it's below Hollow Earth, is that actually above Hollow Earth? Because like if you go subterranean from the middle of the Earth, it just makes my head hurt to think about it. And there's like all these crystals, and there's like the tribe that was indigenous to Skull Island, where there's like this kid that's the last survivor of Skull Island or whatever of this tribe, but then they're still existing in the hollower Earth. So it was like it had a little bit of that Batman and Robin effect, where it's just like, there's too much going on here. Stop it, Schumacher.
It's got to be multiple dimensions or something. They're like, it's the planet's a tesseract or something. I don't know.
It got really trippy. Like there's these there's these like crystal pyramids, and when the crystal pyramids come into contact, then it reverses the polarity of the neutron flow, which causes gravity to reverse, and just like it just got nuts. It was fun. I will say it was fun, but like you have to kind of switch your brain off a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was kind of on the fence about it. I'd not heard good things. So, and I generally will avoid things like honest trailers or honest trailer for, or like pitch, Ryan George pitch meetings of movies I haven't seen yet. But I did watch. I was like, I don't know. I don't have Max right now. I think that's what it's on. We'll see. I'm going to watch these. And so I kind of know what the story is. And I know about the dentist and the replacing the Kong tooth, the whole subplot.
Oh, man.
The dentist is the guy from Legion, so that kind of made me want to watch it. And I don't know, partway through both videos, I was like, this looks so bad. This looks so stupid.
It's pretty
But then by the end, I'm like, it looks so stupid, I kind of want to watch it now.
That's the thing.
Zero G Kong fights and stuff. Like, what?
You just kind of get over it. You just kind of switch your brain off and go, oh, that's cool.
It's such a, like... These monster movies have to... Like, you've got to have a human story in there, right? Or something. Right. And I feel like it's so hard for them to nail down a good human story, because that's always like the worst part, but you can't just do monster fights the whole time. Right. And I say that's always the worst part. It's not always the worst part. It depends. But generally, when one of these movies are terrible, it's because, there's a bunch of crap characters or weird convoluted sci-fi subplots that's like, why does that even need to be there?
Right. Is Rodan the Rodan's not the one that flies. Is Rodan the...
Yeah, Rodan flies. Rodan's like a pterodactyl, basically.
What's the one that's just make claws at the camera. Is like a quadruped with the horn on his nose.
Does it have spiky shell type back?
I want to say sort of. Yeah.
Because the one I watched,
like a Mora, not the turtle, but he's not even officially Toho. But yeah, there's like, I don't know what his name is. It's gonna bother me, but Rodan.
I'm gonna look up,
and then I don't know. It reminded me of that. It's like an evil Kong riding an ice dinosaur that's kind of like that guy.
Rhinoceratops. I don't know.
Well, where'd my window go?
I want to say it's the one that like rolled up into a ball, almost like a armadillo or whatever.
Right. Well, what I've seen of my recent watch through, other than Rodan and Mothra and the weird dragon thing that was in Atragon for a very short time. Chrome tab. Don't share audio. Okay. Was this thing. And it's kind of standing on its back legs now, but like it's usually on all fours. And it's like I can't remember what they called it, but it's like a spiky turtle looking dinosaur type creature.
I think that's the one I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can't find a very big picture of it though.
Yeah.
This one's so goofy.
That's the one, yeah. He's so silly
man.
looking.
Man, Godzilla's I kind of like this is kind of a goofy suit, but I do kind of like the super old like he just looks, especially in black and white, he just looks like charcoal. Like just lumpy face. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
And I told Randy he has to watch One Crazy Summer because he's never seen it. And Bobcat Goldthwait
Yeah,
he's got to watch it.
Yeah,
She made me watch that scene. I'll watch the whole movie sometime. Yeah,
that's the movie that John Cusack refuses to talk about.
Really?
Yeah.
He hates that movie. Yeah.
That's good. I like that. I don't know why I don't really like John Cusack. I like his sister, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he basically plays the same character all the time. I feel like we talked about this last week. I don't know.
It could be.
I will say, Rodan is super cool because jumping to the different creature because it flies at supersonic speeds. It's like flying faster than jets, and it flies by, and they just like bust in half. And just thinking about a living creature flying that fast, captures my imagination a little bit.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, that's all I've got for what I watched. I don't need to go on more about any of that other stuff.
Okay.
We could about wrap it up. Jesse, did you have anything else you want to mention before we try to think of something amazing?
No, not really.
Okay.
I know.
So
that's my silence is amazing.
Yep. So let's see what else is amazing. Planets. And we've been looking for life in the stars for a really long time. And one of the ways that we do that is to try and look for planets that could host life. And since
Maybe
life here,
horny old alien men who want our women.
Sure, why not?
Let's go
But
to Planet
since life,
X, man.
since life here requires water, the major criteria so far has been to look for planets that were located in the Goldilocks zone, which is far enough from the star to keep the water from evaporating, but not so far away that it all freezes. But a new study by
space bears out there too.
Yeah, there's tardigrades in space now, but a new study by Rice University has extended the definition of habitable, whatever. You know what I mean.
That was amazing.
To include the presence and the presence and
no,
strength
I'm
of
sorry.
a planet. It's okay.
There is a delay. Even though we're in the same house, I'm sorry, there is a delay. I'm going to shut up now. Keep talking.
Okay. The presence and strength of a planet's magnetosphere and its interaction with the host star's magnetosphere. So the planet has to have a strong enough magnetic field to protect it from stellar activity, so it doesn't, destroy the planet. And far enough outside the sun's field to avoid direct catastrophic magnetic connections. And the radius of that is they calculate with several things you don't need to hear about. But it's called the Alfvén radius. Alfvén. ALF REN or V, I can't, whatever. Radius. Anyway, so when they apply that they did apply that to 1,546 exoplanets in the Goldilocks zone or around their stars, and only 2 planets still met conditions for potential habitability. And while that doesn't necessarily mean that life couldn't exist there, it would be life that's very different from the life we know, and it mostly means that we could not live there. So, say we needed to leave our planet for some reason. Right now, there's only 2 possible planets that we could survive on. So that's kind of scary. I have bad handwriting, so I don't know if it was ALFVEN or ALFREN, but it's one of the two.
Oh, that's okay. They don't like cats wherever
So
in that
I was
radius.
gonna say he just put
they love cats.
Cats in between French bread.
Yeah.
Boom. Gordon Shumway.
Okay, so how many planets before did they figure life or life like us could be on?
Probably 3. One was too hot, one was too cold, and one was just
No, that's
right.
the Goldilocks zone.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. 1,546.
And how many do they figure now?
2.
Okay, yeah, that sucks. That sucks. That's a little downgrade.
Yeah.
We're in
Maybe
trouble.
Whittling it down to, you know what? It's good to know before you get there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Anyway, I suppose...
don't look up or whatever.
Uh-huh.
We'll have that problem, or they just like get eaten.
Mm-hmm. But we might be able to live underground on some of those places, possibly, because
Lava tube.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally what I was gonna remember last week.
Yeah.
Lava tubes
Yep.
Man,
protect you from the sun's radiation.
the amazingness has just blown my mind lately.
Yep.
Now I've learned about lava tubes on the moon, and there's a Goldilocks in space. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. It is crazy.
There's a Goldilocks in space.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now we just need to figure out how to either freeze people and reanimate them, or just keep people alive for generations on a ship so we could actually reach one of these places when our planet dies.
And jump through a black hole.
A wormhole, preferably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever they did in Interstellar.
They did jump through a black hole, but I don't know that I trust that.
Well, I know who's gonna get us there.
Who?
Elon.
Oh, no. Not if his stock keeps tanking.
I trust Elon to get us there. I don't trust Elon to get us anywhere. You can't even trust his cars to get you anywhere, let alone a spaceship to Mars or elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if SpaceX is named after Planet X.
Probably. Or I don't know what his weird obsession is with X, but it's a thing. I don't know what it's about.
Maybe he's here to get our women.
No, dude, you know what? Famously, he likes to spread it around. He's going for I don't know, man. He's going for
a quiverful.
Was it Genghis Khan style? Just
oh no.
And obviously he obviously likes Heinlein because of Grok or whatever. And that dude was all into like polyamory and weird stuff. I don't know.
This show got weird.
Yeah.
Sorry,
what even is this show? Who is this stream for?
Who is this show? Who is this for? Who is this for?
That's a great
for
question.
Us.
I don't know.
We will get a dude. It's probably better we're not more popular because we will get once in a great while. We'll get a negative review or a kind of nasty comment on like YouTube. And we will ride those comments for years.
We will never let that go, ever.
Yep. We don't know gets about Ghost of the Shell. We don't know gets about Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, I was to say our Wu-Tang podcast here is really not getting the credit it deserves.
Right.
We're the underdog Wu-Tang Clan.
At this point, everyone should know you go to Grawlix Podcast or Grawlix Nights for your Wu-Tang information.
And how great Redman is.
And do we know who the show's for? I don't know. Do you? Do you know who it's for?
I don't know.
It's for us, man.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really
that's the honest answer.
That's the bottom line.
Did you
That's
know
the
Riz
bottom
means
line.
charisma? Ooh, I know some slang.
I'm sure it doesn't now. Like it used to mean charisma, but it doesn't anymore. Unless you're in Ohio.
Because now we know, and so they had to change it.
Yeah, because we're Sigma
Oh.
or something.
Right.
It's something skibbity. I don't know.
My favorite slang term to come out of somewhat modern times. Oh, yeah, probably modern times. I don't know when it started. But it's dirty. Is gooner. Or gooning. If you know what that is, you're probably like, oh, dude, stop it. It's so funny to me. Jesse looks like he needs to maybe look it up, but we don't need to discuss it further on this show.
Yeah.
My favorite old timey slang is. My favorite old timey slang is I got the morbs. I think that's great.
The morbs. It's like morbid.
That.
Yeah, it means you're depressed.
Yeah.
I can't go out today. I got the morbs.
That's like the best old timey slang.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
Like you can get there.
True.
It's like Latin.
Gooning makes sense. No edging.
I've heard of that.
It's related. Okay. I think I just spend the wrong time, I spend my time in the wrong parts of the internet. Really, it's YouTube. No, I learned this stuff from YouTube.
Well, that's where they learn it. So
I learned this from watching YouTube.
That's a boomer reference almost, right? Well, not really boomer, but the boomers did it to us.
Yeah, the boomers came up with it. That's we need to modernize it though. We need to drag it into modern age. Where did you learn about this? I learned this from watching YouTube. YouTube. It wouldn't even be YouTube though. That's not even modern enough.
This is your brain on eggs.
This is your brain on brain rot. There you go. That's a slang younger kids use. They always talk about brain rot.
They do?
Just say nah, bruh.
Yep.
Oh, bruh. Gosh.
Yeah, that one's annoying.
Yeah. Bruh. Or queen. I mean, thanks for being nice or whatever, but I'm tired of being called queen.
Slay.
Yeah.
You have nieces, though, so that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do, too.
Yeah, but they don't call me queen.
That's because you're Sigma and you got Riz.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Anything going on?
Hey, I got stuff going on. Well, first off, tomorrow, join me here or over there on Helix Rock Radio, depending where you're watching or listening right now. Rockradio.live, which is out of Facebook jail, I think. Last I checked. They actually reversed their decision to ban every link to that.
Ooh.
For Edge of the Abyss, I'll be playing some metal, heavy metal, death metal, black metal, thrash metal, like extreme stuff. Typically metal, and if they're singing, it better be screaming. Tomorrow night at 9 Eastern or 8 Central for 2 hours. And then, since it'll be before next week's shows, I have an album coming out. Again, it's a remake album. I remade my first album, kind of updated it with a modern sound, with my more modern kind of flavor a little bit, although it's still very synthwavy, because of course the original album was synthwave. What? It too, también. What? Wait, what? Why? Okay, anyway. I don't know what happened. Melanie, are you alive?
Yeah, but I didn't hear anything but glitchiness for quite a few minutes.
That explains some
okay.
things.
Oh, it's doing it again.
Okay, well, anyway.
Don't talk to me anymore. It messes it up.
The 30th, so Tuesday coming up, the 30th, July 30th, 2024, I'm releasing Corruptor, which is a remake of the full album Redeemer, which I released 10 years ago. July 30th, 2014, I released my first not my first album, but my first Super Science album 10 years ago. And so 10 years to the day.
Destroy that other band.
It was originally Control Alt Destroy, but Apple made me change it. Apple, they're like, yeah, we'll take your Control Alt Destroy album. I was like, cool. And a year later, I was like, I have another one. They're like, we won't take it. We don't like underscores.
Not take it.
Right. And it's because I had underscores. It was Control Alt Destroy, like abbreviated with underscores, like it would be Control Alt Delete or whatever.
Which is funny because that's what you have to do with file types in order for them to translate from PC to Mac.
You're right.
So it's interesting that they won't take underscores.
Yeah. Apple, Mackle.
Right.
So yeah, I changed my artist title because of Apple, which is in theory or in concept infuriating. Makes me very angry.
Go back in time and buy some Apple stock, and then be shareholders or whatever, and then they would have to do our bidding.
Yeah, you're right. But that's okay. Super Science is much nicer. So yeah, I did like a year later retroact. I rebranded it to Super Science, and have been that since. But yeah, Corruptor. It's coming out the 30th of this month. Check it out. I may have a video tomorrow. I don't know. I have probably not. Maybe. We'll see.
Real question. Will you have physical media?
Yeah. You'll be able to get it on CD. You'll be able to get it on CD. Well, I'm once again doing the thing I said. I'm once again doing the thing I said I wasn't going to do anymore, and that is a very last minute finishing up of a release. If I wanted to hit streaming on the day it releases, it would have been uploaded by now, but I just finalized the cover art yesterday.
Which
is
awesome.
This was kind of thank you. You like it?
Yeah.
It looks nice. It came out good.
A nice callback to the original without being a straight up cover of a cover.
Right. I debated. There are other versions where it's kind of alternate version of the other cover, but I was like, and it kind of calls back to, well, the gas mask is obvious, but also the gas mask was kind of a holdover from Control Alt Destroy because I used that a lot as the symbol, the iconology, whatever.
That was your avatar.
Yeah. I don't remember what I was going to say, but sure. Yes, all that. I don't remember what we were talking about.
That's because of the sundowning.
Yeah.
The sun did go down. Yeah. And I feel like rubbing my diaper in some kid's face.
It's like I've been podcasting for 11 years.
11 years. Yes. That's another thing. Jesse, 11 years you posted. I seen. I was like, what's that Saturday morning Dubcast promo art, episode art? What's this? Right. And 11 years ago, you were a guest on Saturday Morning Dubcast, which was a show I used to do. It was our first opportunity to talk Doctor Who, and we're still doing it.
That's right.
We're still doing it.
That's right.
I remember I used to get censored on that show.
You used to get censored hard.
Yeah.
Because
we created that a show about censorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got, no kidding. You got censored so hard we had to create the Grawlix podcast.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that was an uncensored show, and I still had to censor you. We said some pretty hardcore things on that show, and you still had to get bleeped.
Well, that's because people are too sensitive about their superheroes, that's all.
It was a different time. You have to forgive Grandma. She's from another generation.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
But, yeah. Fun. Passage of time. Fun.
Yeah.
Dude, the podcast landscape is so much different now than it was then.
Man.
So much different. But to be fair, though, I don't think Melanie and I could make our livings off the podcast landscape at that point in time, like we do now. So
no way.
Yeah. We had, even though
podcasters didn't have money,
right?
No.
The business people came in, and that kind of sucks a little bit, but now we can make a living off of it, so that's okay.
That's right.
All right, we need to get out of here. What time is it? Yeah.
Like,
Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening. Check us out. We stream every week at this time. Come watch us. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch /Grawlix Podcast. Throw that at the end of one of those, and you'll get there. Or if you don't want to look at our beautiful mugs, you just want to hear our voices, rockradio.live, and you can listen to us. We stream at the same time. Grawlixpodcast.com, GRAWLIX podcast.com. I finally got a payout for our Humble affiliate stuff recently. That's nice. This is a nice little payout.
I get a couple bundles in a year.
I could go through and look at all of them too. I mean,
sure,
not the bundles themselves, but anyway, okay. Bye everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye.
bye.